I'm sure you've been seeing all the videos about FedNow and hearing people say the government is going to use it to take over your money and force you into digital currency. I know, I've been seeing the videos too. So this video is going to explain what the facts are, not just about FedNow, but also about the possibility of the United States creating a central bank digital currency, or CBDC. Now, this is a deep dive video, so if you don't have time to watch it now, come back to it later. All right? Let's go. I don't want you to hear the facts from me about all this. Why would I do that when the House Financial Services Committee, both Democrats and Republicans, already did the work for me? Just a few weeks ago, they grilled the guy in charge of not only the FedNow program, but also this potential United States CBDC. So let's start with FedNow. What is it?
What FedNow will do is it will enable all the banks, any bank in the United States, not just the big ones, to offer instantly available funds and real-time payments to their customers. That's what it will do.
As you just heard, FedNow is a system. It's not a currency. It's a way for banks who qualify to talk to each other and the Federal Reserve in real time to facilitate three main things: instant transaction settlements, 24/7, 365 available transfers, and instant payment confirmation for both the sender and recipient. You cannot sign up for FedNow. Your banking institution signs up for FedNow. This is something that's been in the works for years, and the truth is the government is actually behind the eight ball. Tech-based private sector companies like Venmo and Cash App have been using this kind of tech for years. But FedNow is a big deal because it's the first and only digital instant payment system created by and backed by the US government. So, how would the FedNow system work for you? I want you to think about your own everyday banking experience. We all know it can take days to transfer money or make payments from your bank account. That's because the federal government has no digital payment system for the entire United States banking system to utilize in real time. But that's where FedNow comes into play. It's an instant transaction system that is different from the traditional ACH payments that we're all used to seeing in our accounts. ACH payments are usually made in bulk, and because they get processed only at certain times, that causes those delays. So FedNow payments are processed in real time, one by one, and that dramatically increases the speed money moves. And because those payments are being moved and settled between sender and recipient in real time, those payments cannot be made unless there are sufficient funds. This helps consumers and merchants better manage their own cash flow and lowers payment risks. Basically, if your bank offers FedNow, you would no longer have to wait a few business days or wait till a holiday or weekend is over to get your money. It's there instantly. And if you're trying to pay a bill, you can pay it immediately as long as the money's in your account. That means no more waiting for the bank to clear your online transaction or clear your check and risk getting hit with a late fee. Now, the reason why you've been hearing about FedNow recently is because at the beginning of April, the doors opened to banks that wanted to get certified by the Federal Reserve to use FedNow. But what will it cost? In early 2022, the Fed released a pricing structure. Now, this is absolutely subject to change, but initially the Fed expected a $25 a month service participation fee for each routing transit number. A fee of 4.5 cents per transaction would be paid by the sender, and those who request payments pay a 1 cent transaction fee. Now, I'm not sure if that's what your bank would charge you. That's just what the Federal Reserve said the FedNow program would cost the bank back in 2022. So bottom line, does the FedNow program force you into digital transactions? The answer, absolutely no. But if you want to move your money faster, you want to get your money faster, you want to pay bills faster, and your bank is one of the ones that's qualified to use FedNow, it may be something you can look into. FedNow is expected to roll out nationwide this July. Now, let's talk about central bank digital currency, CBDC, which, by the way, have absolutely nothing to do and no connection to FedNow. My followers who've been with me for a while will remind everyone who's new here that I've actually been talking about this long before it was cool to talk about it on the internet. I posted this video January of 2022 when the Federal Reserve put out the initial report on the findings of their multi-year study into the potential of creating a possible digital dollar. Then I told you last September about President Biden's Executive Order 14067, which told all federal agencies to start coming up with recommendations for how, if CBDCs become a reality, they could be regulated, they could be made accessible, and they could be made safe for Americans. Back then, I told you a US CBDC was a long way away. So you may be wondering, where do we stand now? Are we any closer? I'll let the guy in charge tell you.
to issue a central bank digital currency, that would have to be authorized by statute by Congress. Is that still your testimony?
So that is absolutely the case as it relates to a retail CBDC.
And I was just wondering, at what level are you talking about making decisions on architecture for a CBDC, a retail CBDC?
We're not at the stage of making any real decisions. What we're doing is experimenting in kind of early stage experimentation. How would this work? Does it work? What's the best technology? What's the most efficient? We're really at an early stage but we're making progress on sort of technological issues. The policy issues are equally important, though. We haven't decided that this is something that the financial system in the country want or need.
You just heard him. The guy in charge says the United States central bank digital currency cannot exist without a law from Congress that says so. And so far, there is no movement on any such thing in Congress. Worldwide, 11 countries have launched digital currencies. 18 are in the pilot phase, like China, and 32, including the United States, are in the development phase. And if you're feeling skeptical or worried about a United States CBDC, don't worry, the Fed chair in Congress is pretty worried too. Fed Chair Powell says all the time his priority is not for the United States to be first in the CBDC world or even at the top of the pack. Instead, he'd like to see the U.S. get the right approach. He has said if the Fed were to make its own digital currency, it would essentially be electronic cash backed by the central bank and would not replace other forms of money outright. At this point, lawmakers are asking all the same questions you are. Would a CBDC allow the government to surveil your finances or control other aspects of your financial life? It all boils down to these two things. Can the United States actually create and regulate a digital currency? According to the Fed chair, yeah, we're probably a few years away from that. But the bigger, more relevant question is, will Congress allow a CBDC to be created? Right now, it does not seem like lawmakers are jumping up and down to approve any such thing.